I tried red light therapy for the first time, and I gotta say, it was quite the experience.
Oh, hi, Mark.
What's up, Freccero fam? Welcome back to my channel. We'd like to experience everything that life has to offer. Let's get right into this. I like trying new things, especially when it comes to the health and fitness and supplementation world. And red light therapy has always been on my radar. I've heard mixed about it, which we will talk about in this video. So for today, I actually did it this morning. I decided to try it out. Now I went to a store in Marina Del Rey, got there, and I've been there before for cryotherapy. I've already done a video about cryotherapy, and also sometimes I do saunas there. And the way it worked is you enter in this room with two gigantic panels facing each other. You then get completely naked. Then you stand in between them. You can wear goggles if you want, because the red light can be kind of strong when it comes to your eyes. For me, I decided to just stand there and close my eyes, and now standing between those panels for about 12 minutes. So it was pretty quick. And one of the main reasons why I did it actually was one, to try something new, like why not? But two, for my arm. There have been some reports that it can help with healing and a lot more, and we will talk about some of the science and the truth, if it works or not, in this video in a little bit. But the main reason why, one of the main reasons, was for my arm. In case you didn't know, I did snap my bicep tendon. I had a distal bicep tendon tear. I've done a whole video series about my recovery. I've it listed below in the description, whether it's the surgery I had, or the PT, or the recovery, all the things. And I figured, hey, I'm trying everything. I've done cryo, I've done saunas, I'm working out, I'm taking a bunch of supplements. Why not try red light therapy? And in terms of my experience, let's start with my anecdotal experience. Or how was it? Gonna be honest, one, it was pretty relaxing. In general, I was just standing there for 12 minutes. That was about it. Two, I did sweat a little bit. It wasn't the kind of situation where I had to, fully take a shower or even maybe towel off afterwards. It was like lightly sweating. It's a little hot, but not super, super hot. Not even close to the heat of a sauna. In terms of how it made me feel, like saying after that experience and everything, gotta be honest, one, I felt very relaxed afterwards. I don't know if maybe it's because I just kind of like zoned out for 12 minutes and was just relaxing. Maybe it's the way I slept, but I slept pretty well last night. So one, I felt a little relaxed, also maybe a little bit out of it afterwards. I also don't know if it's because my eyes, that red light's strong. So when I came out of it, my eyes were like, so maybe that's the reason why I felt a little out of it, but I just felt very, very relaxed. Now, they did tell me there's a bunch of benefits, like I said, when it comes to red light therapy that we will talk about in a second, that one of the benefits is increased energy. I gotta be honest, and I'm very honest in all my videos, I feel like I didn't get that. I feel like I didn't get this energy increase. Didn't really get that. If anything, I just felt more tired and more relaxed afterwards, just the way it affected me. Then again, when you look at a lot of the research of things like red light therapy, I look at it more when doing research into it like a vitamin or supplement. It's not the kind of thing you take or do and you're like, whoa, I feel it right away. Like after sauna, I feel amazing. After doing cryotherapy or a cold plunge or a cold shower, I feel awesome. After, working out, I feel amazing, of course. With this, I think it's the kind of thing that you have to do a lot and then you slowly see the benefits over time. It's not the kind of thing, at least the way it affected me, where you do it and right after you get out, you're like, whoa, I am energized. Not really. So that was my experience doing it. Granted, again, I just did it this morning. I've only done it once, so that's my own personal experience. But with that being said, what are the actual benefits? Now, first off, this is the picture they had at Restore. This is what they're saying is the benefits of LED light therapy or red light therapy: hair growth, skin health, improved recovery, cellular health, improved circulation, reduced inflammation, increased testosterone in men, and reduced pain. A lot of amazing benefits for only 12 minutes. From what it seems like, I think you do need to do this a lot. Again, it's similar to a vitamin. If you take vitamin D once every month, not gonna have the same effect as doing it daily, of course. Now, the first time I heard about red light therapy, which is kind of where it started, is from Brian Johnson. In case you don't know, he's the big or main guy behind the whole movement of Don't Die. He's pretty much optimized his life, literally every second of his life, whether it's food, supplements, working out, lifestyle, etc., to try to live the longest he possibly can. It's pretty crazy, all the stuff he's done. I've watched a lot of the documentaries, and he spent millions to figure out the best science, the best data, the newest research about how to live pretty much forever. And that's the first time I heard about it because I'm like, okay, this guy spends his life, literally his life, and millions of dollars to figure out what actually is legit and what isn't. So when he was an advocate for red light therapy, I was like, okay, if Brian Johnson is talking about red light therapy, and it's not like this is like a company, right? It's more just the procedure, if I'd call it like that, or the act of doing it. I'm like, okay, there's got to be some research behind this, right? And it says this. He uses red light therapy to reverse hair loss and graying, promote tissue regeneration, reduce skin damage, and support his overall health and longevity. So going down here, pretty straightforward as you saw from the video when I was explaining how it worked. It is a treatment that uses low wavelength red light and near infrared light to target your skin and cells. It works by stimulating your cells to produce more energy, helping them repair damaged tissues and reduce the effects of aging. Already talked about this before, but we're looking at improved skin health, reduced inflammation, increased hair growth, improved recovery, and lastly, reduced anxiety and depression. And I want to show you this. This is an interesting one to me, is that on Twitter, he said, I've been doing red light therapy for about 3 times a week for 12 minutes. I did 12 minutes earlier for the past few years. That to me was a big thing, that I'm like, if he's doing it with all the research he does, with all the science that he does, with all the money that he puts into living forever, there's got to be something to it. While his team of 30 plus doctors recommend red light therapy as part of his daily routine, they are still measuring its effects and aren't entirely sold on the direct benefits. Here's where things get a bit tricky though. This is an article written by Stanford because there have been conflicting reports about red light therapy where there basically isn't enough data. It is still very a new thing. So I think Brian Johnson's perspective is why not? Why not type thing, right? Because here, according to science, red light isn't bogus. Like if we go down here to hair growth and skincare, they kind of demonstrate that when it comes to red light penetrating the skin at shallow depths, it stimulates follicle growth. There's evidence that the light causes vasodilation, a widening of blood vessels, so this could be good for hair health and hair longevity and everything regarding hair growth and skincare, right? But then going down here, there have been some preliminary studies when it comes to wound healing and scarring that pointed towards potential for accelerated skin and tissue healing, depending on the wavelength of light, duration, and frequency of treatment. But the studies didn't show strong and consistent success, leaving a question mark in the minds of dermatologists. If I go down here to athletic performance, for example, in theory, red light could be used to stimulate muscle and tissue healing in the same way it's used for wound healing, as muscle growth technically requires small lesions in the tissue that eventually heal and result in bigger and larger muscles. The good news is that the risk for side effects or bodily harm is so low as long as the light isn't shined directly into the eyes. And then, of course, when it comes to wider claims, things like erectile dysfunction, chronic pain, even dementia, interesting avenues for future exploration, none of any scientifically validated results. And here's, I think, the big takeaway. Overall, studies show there's benefit with hair growth, and there's evidence to suggest it can reduce inflammation of tissues, but it all depends on the strength and duration of the treatment, which is largely unknown when people buy tools to use at home. There's still more research to be done because they do mention up here that, as you can imagine, doing red light therapy in a clinic, delivered in a clinic, will almost always be more powerful than any at-home device. Of course, though, I do have to mention on that last point, if you are someone like Brian Johnson who has millions of dollars, you could definitely buy your own clinic level grade red light therapy. So if you are looking to do red light therapy, the only really 2 cons or negative aspects I'm going to say is 1, your time. Then again, it's 12 minutes. I mean, for me, it's probably a 20 or 30 minute thing by the time I drive there, do red light therapy, leave, and then drive back. Looking at about 20, 30 minutes of my time. And then 2, of course, the cost of it. Definitely depends venue to venue how much it is. It usually starts at about $25 and upwards, depending on where you are and a lot more. So those are the only 2 cons I'm gonna say, is your time and the cost. Now for me, will I continue doing red light therapy? I'm gonna be honest, probably not. I don't mean that in a bad way, but for me, if I'm let's say gonna go to a store and pay money for like say the cryo or the sauna or the red light therapy, if I have the choice between them, I'm going to choose sauna. I feel like for me, I love saunas. I resonate very well with them. There's also a lot more research about saunas. So I choose sauna out of those 3. Then again, one thing I do want to say is, let's say if you live in a place where, let's say, red light therapy is free, definitely do it. If let's say you have some ability to access it in a way that doesn't really cost you anything extra, it is a why not situation. Here's the main takeaway for me when it comes to red light therapy overall. Here are my final thoughts. Is 1, it doesn't hurt. I think that's my biggest takeaway, that there are a lot of studies to support certain benefits of red light therapy, but maybe not as much for other ones. That's where things get a bit conflicting, where there haven't been any reports saying, wow, red light therapy has detrimental effects or could have potential negative side effects. They're saying, look, yes, there are some benefits here and there. Could red light therapy in, like, say, 5 or 10 years be the newest, biggest thing? Very, very possible. It is very, very possible. But right now, I think there still needs to be a lot of studies and research to really support it. Like I said, I think for someone like Brian Johnson, where there's enough evidence to support it's worth it because he is doing it, a lot of times it takes a lot of studies and a lot of research for people to say, yeah, this definitely helps, or this definitely doesn't help. Because like I said, there have been a lot of proven benefits already of red light therapy, really regarding, it seems like, in the skin and hair kind of realm. If you want to look younger, if you want your hair to be a lot fuller and healthier, red light therapy is a great go-to. But when it comes to the other benefits, which could very well be the case, like say my arm healing fast or whatever, that could definitely be the case, but I still think there needs to be more and more research done to really validate it. But so far, things are looking pretty good.